play exactly the same song at exactly the same tempo that I go playing now because I've survived and people love it and go crazy for it. Only then they resisted it and they showed it no respect. And I wasn't going to let any audience get away with disrespecting me. No way, Jose. So I'd go get them. We were highly controversial when we started, and audiences would either sit there just like stone quiet while we played, or they'd actively oppose us and insult us. And I fought back. That was usually the core of what caused the situations. It was like, okay, you don't like this? Well, I'll show you something you're going to like even less. To the point where, at one period, I started bringing my own arsenal, knowing that we were going to throw stuff. I started bringing a big cardboard box with me of stuff to throw at them when they did start. So I'd have my own stuff. And I started hiring, at that time, my friends who I'd gone to school with were starting to return from Vietnam, and I'd hire veterans who I knew could handle themselves well to go out and deal with anybody who tried to oppose us.
In that sense, I suppose you were sort of the precursor of the later violence and punk on the stage.
Yes,
I
was.
Slam dancing and diving in the audience.
And I was the precursor of that. I was also the precursor of the spitting. I used to spit on the audience. If they pissed me off enough, I'd just spit on them. Mm-hmm. And then the first time, after many years off, in 1977, I went to England. I hadn't been around. Punk had happened. I walked out on stage for my big comeback, and they spit all over me. And I thought, well, my chickens are coming home to roost now, you know. So yeah, I was basically, I was a person. I used to offend all kinds of people, even the people like that thought they were the very progressive liberal elements, you know. But like MC5 and their manager would say, well, now that you're popular, you've got an album out, now you have to get political and help us free the people. And I said, don't tell me about freeing the people. You're just a manipulating son of a bitch using a good rock band for your own ends so that you can be a political leader in our area. And I just basically maintain my freedom of expression. And I said to myself, I serve music. I serve a poetry that has its own interior rhythm, and people like it, and I'm not going to do what you say. Was my basic. I'm not going to do what you say. I'm going to do what I feel to do, and that's what I did.
I guess it worked because
it worked. It worked against me too. It worked against me, and I took it on the chin. Even when then the Stooges broke up once, and then when I got it together again with David Bowie's Main Man Company behind me, his managers they didn't want me to make Raw Power or anything like that. They wanted me to make an album with English session musicians of nice pop music. And they thought, well, because I was good looking at the time, he's pretty, he's young, he's exciting on stage. To make him a big star, all we have to do is get all this horrible bad music he plays out of the way and give him some nice music. And when I found out what they wanted to do, I just said, no, I won't. And they said, but you have to. And I said, no, I won't. And they realized I wouldn't make a record their way, so the Stooges ended up in London, which pissed them off. I made Raw Power. The reason they had to let me make it was because they had to deliver an album to collect the record company money. So they let me make the album, and then they killed my band. So we made a great album, but they never toured my band. They dismissed me from the contract, which means after they had collected $100,000 from CBS, and I starved in L.A. So I paid a lot, and since then I've compromised when I've had to, just to keep going.
You mentioned Bowie there, and there have, of course, been many rumors as to what the actual relationship is. And people are always saying, for example, that he's kind of been picking you up and dusting you off and whatnot. What was the original bond between you there? Was it just a pair of kindred spirits, or was he like advising you on how to control yourself as a performer?
The original bond. the basic bond between us would be that we're the same age. We have very similar musical backgrounds. We both had the same ambitions. We wanted to write and create our own musical theater, underlining the word theater. And we both had a very low opinion of the importance of a lot of the rest of the music business. Thought it was just trivial bullshit. And we read a lot of the same books, so we had something to talk about. Other than that, I think our relationship can be viewed in many different ways depending on what mood you're in and what day of the week it is. Just like life itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it basically has sort of continued and in certain ways blossomed, I guess.
Yes.
In terms of the career as well as, I guess, personal benefits as well.
Yeah, he's been a great help to me, and it's well documented that I lived with him when I was penniless, and he produced my albums when no one else would touch me, and et cetera, and I hope I've been a good friend to him as well.
So friend and guardian angel, I guess.
I think that's a fair way to put it, yeah. Another way, and rather than guardian angel, I would say this: having created what I consider to be the three most important albums, I think my first three albums formed the basis for almost everything interesting that happened in the late 70s, and for a lot of what the new bands like The Cult, Mission, Susie and the Banshees, Simple Minds, many people are doing now. Having done that and seen my career totally reduced to dust, to the point where I couldn't move, couldn't eat, where I was mentally confused, total outcast, I looked at Bowie, who meanwhile had skyrocketed to fame, and I said, why is he up there and why are you down here? And the reason was, I concluded, that I had only cared just about the art part. He had taken care of his art, but also his business, his publicity, his social obligation to go out and meet as many other artists as possible. He'd taken care of his influences. He was out hanging out with painters, learning interesting things about set design. He was covering all aspects, and I wasn't. So I thought, right, this is a man I could learn from. And more than anything else, he's been a teacher to me.
It seems like
rather than it hasn't been a situation where, like, if I'm down or upset over something or have a decision to make, I've never called David Bowie and asked him what to do, or he never says, well, Jim, now here's something for you. Nothing like that. But you watch and you learn.
In the world of pop, it seems like there are more Iggy Pops than there are David Bowies, though. Sly Stone, sort of a god of funk, since.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
In various genres, that's always been the case.
Kind of, but I think he has more visual clones than I do. I have a lot of music. I have a lot of people that play my music, but David has tons of visual clones.
Oh, visual clones.
If you look around, there's more people that look like David than that look like me.
Yeah.
They all pluck their eyebrows and dye their hair orange. Yeah, sure. And then you have Johnny Rotten, who basically was Iggy Pop with David Bowie's hairdo.
Yeah. But I guess that's kind of just the way it sort of works.
Yeah.
The guy who starts it kind of ends up being sort of blown away.
Well,
tend to forget.
Yeah, but it paid off in the end because people, one thing I'm very happy about is that I didn't make it too big, because it leaves me so much work to do now. Yeah, I'm real lucky that way. So I'm still kind of like a new kid on the block, and it keeps me fresh.
You said something in an interview a half a year or so ago about giving up a radical approach to performance, I guess live performance. First of all, can you recall saying anything about that?
Yeah, sure.
What exactly did you say?
I don't remember exactly what I said, but I can tell you what I've done is I decided, I took a long look at what I was doing, and I decided that many of the real reason that I got involved in all that nutty stuff and dangerous stuff at the time I said, well, how did all this happen? And I thought, wait a minute, man, what you really wanted to do, and they showed it no respect. And I wasn't going to let any audience get away with disrespecting me. No way, Jose, so I'd go get them. We were highly controversial when we started, and audiences that either sit there just like stone quiet while we played, or they'd actively oppose us and insult us. And I fought back. That was usually exactly the same song at exactly the same tempo that I go play now because I've survived and people love it and go crazy for it. Only then they resisted it. That was usually the core of what caused the situations. It was like, okay, you don't like this? Well, I'll show you something you're going to like even less. To the point where at one period I started bringing my own knowing that we were going to throw stuff, I started bringing a big cardboard box with me of stuff to throw at them when they did start, so I'd have my own stuff. And I started hiring, at that time, my friends